Welcome to Kingdom Talks, where we engage leaders, teachers, creative artists, and everyday people in conversations that awaken listeners to new revelations of the Kingdom Age. All of our courses, community conversations, partnership links, and much more can be found on our website, kingdomtalksmedia.com. Now, enjoy the show.
All right, well, welcome everybody. We have Peta Conda on with us. Just a little faux pause that we have. I started earlier and we were recording, hopefully not too long before realized I hadn't hit the record button. So anyway, just want to thank all of you for joining us on Kingdom Talks. We have Peta Conda on, as I said. She has not been on with us for a few months and was delighted to hear that we could get her on here again. Peta is from Australia. And, last time we had you on, Peta, you were kind of just coming back out of hiding, I guess. And now the Father's been doing some work in your life. Would love to hear what that is, because I know that there's been some other people that have encountered you and engaged with you. And they have just had wonderful things to say about those encounters with you. So anyway, just would like to know how things are going. And Berlin. Now, last time I introduced you when it wasn't recording, so thank you for being on here as well. Blessings. We'll get this right. We're moving forward. Here we go. So, Peta, go ahead. Share with us what Father's doing.
It's all good. I haven't minded the slowness because I'm very grateful, because I was an hour out with mountain time over there and only just stepped up out of bed and went, oh my goodness. So we've now got the dawn and it's all good, and I can see you, so it's right. Yes, I remember that it was around about September, October last year that we last connected, and I was about to go on the road for a month in Australia, which I did do, and that was from another lady with the UK, and I was we were teaching into a couple of hubs, one out in one of the outback towns, beautiful, beautiful hub. An Ekklesia group that very much, I won't mention their names again, only because I haven't asked them that. And but they were very much involved in doing some great legislation and governing around the fires, which I didn't join them for, but a very significant group in our nation, more in the regional area. And then I was heading towards home in December from Sydney after being in a beautiful fellowship up there, and I love them dearly. And I was coming home to have a sabbatical and to start writing in December.
Oh, wow.
And ran into the fires, for want of a better word. I could not get, I live on the east coast of Australia, right down the bottom of New South Wales near Eden. So Eden is my sort of home regional shopping centre where I spend a lot of time, and I love that. I just say I live in Eden to people, so it's wonderful.
That's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be. Yeah. So I think there's something I've only lived here 3 years now, but it's beautiful. It's on the east coast of Australia. It's near the water. It's got the mountain ranges behind, and beautiful bush and nature and country lifestyle, better word.
One of these days I'd love to get over there and see it. I know of all the places I've always wanted to go since I was a kid, Australia was at the top of the list.
Yes.
So I don't even know why, but it's always been the one at the top of the list. So
yeah, it is uniquely different. And I know, like I said to you last time, when I was spending a lot of time over in Wales, around about 2013 to 2019, a few people would watch Coast to Coast Australia, and they say, not quite sure why you've come over to Wales when you live over there. And I said, well, there's always a cost involved when you're going after the things of God.
Yeah, wow.
It truly is beautiful.
I thought it was interesting that you had fires in Eden and we had fires in California in Paradise.
Yes. Yes, and I think there's a lot of aspect around the fires, many bits and pieces that I think a lot of us are still probably looking to pull together. We were doing different things governmentally around that. the nation had also been in drought. So part of the government was to deal with some of the issues around why we were in drought. I found myself personally, once I got home here, it took me 7 hours, which is not a long time within America or Australia to travel sometimes, but it took me 7 hours to drive about 100 k's one day just to get home initially to get here, because I had to
Wow.
travel inland through dirt roads that I'd never been on and find my way home because I knew I needed to get home. And that was the 4th of December 2019. And then here where I live, literally 3 weeks ago on the 4th of March, 3 months to the date, they declared all the fires out.
Wow.
And, so for
Threes.
me personally, I was sitting in a region that the fires really erupted on the 4th of January, the 5th of January. So we had them coming towards us in December, and we had areas around us that we started to govern into, and people's lives been affected and homes. It was sort of roaring down the east coast of Australia and coming up from Victoria, which is the lower part of Australia. And I think one of the things, even without talking into administration of governing, was a very interesting thing for me. I had various people say to me, do you want to come away from there? We've got a home you can come to in regional Australia. And everything in me, as I turned into the Father, he kept saying, no, I want you to stay in the region.
Yeah.
I want you to stay there. And so there was an obedience to that led me through my own personal journey of certain things that I encountered, that I certainly believe the fire of God in the spiritual realm was doing things in my own life, but accelerated me into all different aspects of government that I've touched into and actually been involved in for many years. Like I remember saying to you last year, I'd been blessed to be involved in a governing of the nations group since 2000. So governing is not a new thing from the heavenlies, but different aspects have really been brought forth. And I think the important thing of that too for people is there was various groups I could be involved in to govern with, different people asking, different groups forming, particularly within Australia. But I elected and sought Papa's heart and governed with the groups, the hubs that he said for me to govern with. And I think that's really important for people as well. And even now, with the situation we're in, there is so much prayer going on and many groups, and that's all right and beautiful, but you've got to know, I think, where you are to be situated and the connections you are to be connected with for that part of the journey. And that can vary.
That's so
That was
true.
a huge issue that I could see all around me all the time. And so it didn't mean that when I wasn't joined to that group over there to do something in the spirit, that I didn't then hear what aspect they got, but they were all dovetailing in together to bring that beautiful picture of what we were called to do. So again, it's not about connecting to names or wow, I'll be part of that group because they're doing it. Where is it, Papa? You want me to be connected to Yahweh, and what is it? What aspect am I carrying, or you want to release through me to bring this aspect to it?
It's so good.
You know, that's so true, because we have a lot of FOMO, right? We want to be in on it's somebody's group, you know, or they're doing a cooler thing, you know,
Yes.
that I think is cooler. But God has us in a position, and we need to stay in the seat in the bus that he has us in, you know, until he releases our seatbelt. So it's so important, because we can step out of our jurisdiction and where we don't have authority, and then there's bad things can happen, right?
And I think some of the things that also, not just bad things, but I think you start to get a hint that you may be operating outside of your lane when the things that you're doing start to feel like you're striving. And when you're striving and fighting and struggling, it's a good sign that you're probably out of your lane and you're not working from a place of rest. So you want to look back at where you did have the rest and step back into that place so that you are operating where Father has you. And yeah, the FOMO thing is definitely I think it's fear of missing out, but at the same time, I wonder how much pride is involved in it, where we got to be
Absolutely.
part of everything versus being
I got to
content.
be seen.
Right. Versus
Yep.
just being content with what Father's given us. And that's a tough one, though. It really is. It kind of messes with our thinking process.
Oh, look, yes, Gil, and I think
Right.
there's all those various aspects in that for people, and I think that's our own personal journey and the journey of everyone's heart as Yahweh has been leading us in this journey to be people that are governing from the realms of heaven and seeking his heart only. And I mean, I know even in amongst the corona thing, and I'm not opening that up at the moment, but we cannot pray from fear either, because we need to be above and just be seeing what is it, Yahweh, that you want us to pray. It doesn't mean people can't cry out, Lord, protect my family, and that I don't mean that, but to be not throwing prayers out, because the power of what we speak and release creates. We need to
Yes.
be in this place where we're whether it's 2 or 3 of you or 5 or 6 of you, or whatever the size of it is, or in the spirit, knowing that you're connected. And that was happening with me a lot during that period. What is it that you're showing us, and which dimension are we in for us just to release now? You can even go in with the heart, wow, this fire is coming at us. And I could see fires from different headlands here.
Wow.
I could see us surrounded. And
Yeah, I saw those pictures you sent me, and it was just like, I can believe that you stayed through that.
yes, and the constant call, and people, and my own family, my sister and her family, they live in Canberra, the ACT. That's a 300-kilometre drive for me. There was one stage I could have got out and got to them. And I needed to be aware of their heart and feeling and their concerns for me too. So I had to walk that journey through with the family when I said, I'm actually staying where I am.
Well, that kind of brings up another thing to where, right now we are in the midst of the coronavirus, and much of the world is kind of locked down and shut down. How are you, looking at that? Are you stepping into the heavens to deal with it? What is happening there? I mean, I'd love to share what we're doing here, but I want to hear what you're doing there first.
Look, I think we're also in the same situation. I'm linking in with my own hub, so they're not people that live with me. We do that on Zoom. I'm linking. I was on a Zoom hub with a couple in New Zealand and Brisbane, and myself and someone in Sydney the other day. Again, I'd probably like to go back to the fires a little bit to talk about the aspects of the government, but we have also been led not to directly engage the actual virus. That's probably saying it in a sentence, dealing with issues around it, particularly dealing with fear. We've been in the spirit over different countries. And again, I'm cautious what we release and say publicly. One of the significant things which tied into also what was done around the fires with this group that I connected with only 3 or 4 days ago was the sound that the Father or heaven had us release, a new sound into the earth. And I think that has an outworking more that we will see later in relation to creation, new nations, new cities, new ways of doing things, and a particular angel that we saw that was with us had appeared when I was governing with another lady over it, and so that was really interesting as well. But it was never going after the particular virus. It was going after some aspects and releasing a new sound and new things into the earth. Certainly dealing with the fear. I mean, I'm sitting over my region in the spirit all the time at the moment around the fear, just releasing shalom. Because I'm sitting in a community that 3 months have been in the fire, only just getting our heads up, and all of a sudden the talk of going into shutdown and isolation. Can you imagine what is in this community here at the moment?
Yeah.
They have been surrounded.
Wow.
I was evacuated 3 times voluntarily, with the possibility of at least once more, which I said no to. I stayed because I felt to stay. And so we've got a community that are in recovery, a lot of pain, businesses just starting to get some people in from tourists, and now they're saying shut down now, and we're faced with this. And I live in not a retirement village, but I live in a lifestyle village, and so most of the people, well, all of the people have to be over 50. So you've got elderly people here. So the fear level I can feel around the time. So for me, it's a personal similar scenario to be here, but to be sitting and just releasing over that fear, releasing something but life and shalom and something very, very different into the community.
That's good.
And each person I touch, or don't touch, or see out there, I'm talking from a distance, can't touch. It's really hard for me. When I get to meet you one day, I'm a total huggy, touchy person. So everything in me has
good.
At least I can touch the animals and the plants and the bees.
Yeah. Well, just to share what we're doing here is kind of similar, because the first question we ask is, Father, what are you doing? And what's going on, in terms of what are you doing? And I think that's going to be different in each and every area of the world.
That's it.
That he's using this to, for whatever purposes, he didn't cause it, but he's using it. And the question is, what are you doing? And each group, each Ekklesia needs to be asking, what are you doing, so that we can, enter into that and cooperate with you, and not be praying against you. Because oftentimes in the old paradigm, we just jump out and start praying and, trying to curse the virus and everything else, versus, no, Father, what are you doing? Because he may be using it in a very specific way that is going to have a great outcome. Yes, we have the challenges, but, he turns it all into good. So that's what we need to be looking for, I think.
Absolutely, Gil. And I think going back, sorry, Berlin, yeah.
No, finish your thought, and then I have a question for you, but go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah. I think too, in the way or the administration of how I've been led over the years to govern, and there's an enlargement in that for me.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
I think my statement to most people would be now, you cannot be in the fires for 3 months, meaning physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and not be changed. You cannot come through, and a dear friend from this hub that I mentioned in Mildura said that to me. She saw very early in the piece, she said, wow, I see you in the fire like Daniel. And she said, you're going to stay in that. And I said, yes, I know that. And but she was seeing something in the spirit, but also was in the natural, everything. And so, as I said, there's own personal things. I mean, when I was evacuated to, and this is very personal for me, but I'm happy to share it because I think I feel the Lord saying to do that, that the first place I went to was a dear friend that I kayaked with on a Saturday, and she said, Peter, come here. So it's closer to the sea, it's a brick home. Her husband was away, so my company was good as well for her. And the fires roaring up the coast towards Eden, this is the big one that was coming across the border from Victoria. That was the photo I think I sent you, where it was red the next day. All you could see was red.
Yes, that was just terrifying.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It's She said, "What will we do?"
I wonder if I can pull that picture up.
I don't know. I've kept that picture because I'm going to use that for some writings. But she said, "What will we do?"
Yeah,
and
let me see if I can
go down on the beach and we'll get in the water, And she was frightened. She was really. she's not, as we would call a Christian, but there's so many people I'm fellowshipping with these days that know the divine, know about God. They may not to be defined, and they're the people I'm in fellowship with these days in this region. And it's easy to talk to them about my love of nature and the spiritual world and angels, and they receive it all, So it's a beautiful thing. But I said, oh, well, we'll get in the water if it comes here. And then she said, oh my gosh, a shark will eat us. No, I said, shark won't eat us, we'll be okay. But that's how close it was. And that was the night of the Eden, what we call the Eden fire. It was a massive fire that had really burnt through a lot of Victoria and was crossing our border rapidly that night. Someone in my own hub, my own little group, and these two beautiful ladies, we made a threesome actually. That was really interesting. I've got a little hub of 5 of us that meet on Zoom every fortnight, and we literally just turn in to see where Yahweh leads us, where we end up. And it's got a mandate of governing of the nations. So we can find ourselves anywhere, or he could be showing us something. We just go with that and allow him to minister to us at times as well. And two of those girls were unavailable. One was overseas, one was in England, and 2 of the others were totally available for me all the time. So I set up a WhatsApp video, and I would just click into them, and it was like 24/7, and we would just be moving with what I felt or they felt we needed to do at the time. And that particular day, before the fire came up the coast, one of them rang me and she said, Peter, I know you know this, but the lion's going to roar, and I just need to tell you that it's got something to do with what you are about to do. And I went, okay. I didn't know the fire was coming the day before. It was just escalating. And that night, I'm over in evacuation in this lady's place. We were aware of the fire. We were aware of the wind. We were aware of no forecast of rain, all sorts of things. I jolted awake naturally at 3 a.m. in the morning. I stepped into Yahweh. I stepped into the roar, and I roared in the spirit for what seemed like 5 minutes, and what flowed through from my mouth was, you will not destroy Eden. And I was confronting the fire. I could see it. When I woke up the next day, that was the day it was red. The fire had stopped right at Eden. The winds had abated 4 to 5 hours before they were due to abate, and rain had come in just to touch the borders. Now, I know it wasn't just me, there were other people, but the significance of that, when I got jolted awake, that I immediately turned into something that my other Ekklesia member had said to me. She knew it was something she had to, and I stepped into it. I was in Yahweh. I was in the face of the lion looking out and roaring, which I've done before. That was one administration. Now, they were in the spirit with me, as others would have been doing different things, but it was like that fire stopped at that boundary stone. It just stopped.
So can I ask a couple questions? I want to ask this for clarification for those who are listening who may not know some of the terms and things that you've said. One of them is you turned into Yahweh, and or you went into Yahweh. What does that mean? What is it like, and how do you do it for those who are listening?
Wow. Okay. I think everything for me comes out of which I know. Braylene and Gil and Adina, it's for you. I function out of the place knowing that I'm in him and he's in me. So the language for me is, and we often use it in our hub, is that when I turn in and I turn out in my life, for want of a better word, I walk throughout the day knowing that I'm in him and he is in me, and that's the reality. And heaven is my home, and the dimensions around me that I can turn into. And so I would use the language that I just turn into the reality that I'm in him. And from that place, I often move into different dimensions, or move into the face of God, lion, ox, eagle, man. And this time when I turned into the reality that I'm in him and there's greater dimensions available in the heavenly realm, I shifted into that place immediately, that it was like I was looking out from the eyes of Yahweh as the lion. And it was me in him and him in me roaring at this fire.
Yeah, love that.
Wow.
And this is
I did find
John
that picture.
17 being, lived out is we are one. And that, in him. I love that. Berlin, you had a question?
Yeah, sorry.
I did find that picture, where the sky was red. Can I share that?
Yeah, go ahead
Can
and
I share
try
my
it. I
screen?
want to
That's
see how it comes out here.
That's what we awoke to.
Okay. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Give me a second. I can fix that.
All right.
I don't know if I can find it on my phone as well.
Okay, try it now.
Try it. Okay, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Hit that. Can you see it?
That's it? Yeah, that's it.
That is what the sky looks like.
That's what we awoke to that particular morning after the event. And that stayed with us all day, all night, and then sort of lifted. So we literally also lived in black smoke and smoke for about 2 months during the journey as well.
Yeah.
And I think that was very interesting from a health and a physical point of view for many people in the area, because even for myself, you were breathing that smoke in. So most of the time, and I didn't get a perfect far from it, talk about a learning curve, is that I focused very much on, again, breathing the breath of God, like breathing him in, breathing him out, and living in that. I'm very aware of his breath in me, but physically breathing him in and breathing him out. And I was still able to go for a walk outside in the smoke and manage that, because just to keep one's sanity, one's health, get out in the community, everything around, it was something that I needed to do as well. And many people had to stay inside. There was one of the days that I evacuated from here, it was black out there. The fire was only 8 kilometers away, and it was as black as the rest of the screen we're looking at. And functioning in that, driving in that, getting to a safe spot in all of those sorts of scenarios. So for me, there was aspects of governing around the breath of God. There was aspects of speaking to the winds, speaking to the rain. So aspects, turning winds around, slowing them down. We at one stage, when we were severely threatened post that big fire with one, because we got surrounded, so there was 5 fires, and it was just like one little area that finally didn't get hit, and that was the area the Lord had said I could set a boundary around right at the very beginning, which I did.
Wow.
And it did not come within that, and it was only almost a 15-kilometer radius right around this area. But the winds that were expected, particularly in the month of January, that would bring them into this area, there was times of engaging, particularly with these two ladies and other people around, that it was like saying no to the winds and decreasing the velocity of them and the direction of them, which were, as I sought Yahweh's heart on it, and it probably also saved the region. I went for a walk one day around the lake, and a lady, I'd stopped to listen to some frogs because I was engaging creation, and this other lady came up to me and she said, "Oh, I can see you'll be a lady that loves nature." And I said, "Yes, I am. I've just been listening to the frogs." And she got chatting to me and she said, "Oh gosh," she said, "I don't understand how we didn't burn here, that we should have burned, the fire should have taken us out." And I felt in the spirit, I can say, oh, there's been many people praying for this area, for our nation. I've been involved in that and different things. And we got talking and she said, "Wow, this has been a sacred moment for me. Thank you." And she talked a little bit, but it was just that ability to share with her that we hadn't been alone. The whole of the globe, including you guys, was turned towards Australia at that time.
Yeah.
I've got a beautiful friend in Wales that set up a group on Facebook Messenger that ended up having about 20 people on it, the Irish, the Welsh, the English. And I would talk to them each morning, just let them know. And they're all praying the way or governing the way that they were asked to do. And there was small groups within that larger group, but I couldn't keep up with the communication as well. I was just trying to let people know that I was all right and what was happening. So she formed this bigger group, which is beautiful.
Wow. Well, Peta, I have a question for you to think about. We're going to take this little break, 30-second break here in just a second. And while we're on that break, just think about whether you would be willing to share a little bit on what took you into the hiding and what brought you out. And what I'm looking for is, what are some things that, if you want to share or talk about it at all, what are some things that would help our listeners, because I'm assuming it was a growth process for you. We're all growing, we're all maturing. So anyway, just something to think about while we take this break. And then when we come back, you can let us know. All right, so we'll be right back.
Hey there. Thank you for joining us. We are taking a short break to share with you the life-changing online course called Ultimate Impact. Gil and Adina do an amazing job taking the complicated and making it simple and applicable for your life. Ekklesia groups are using this course to shift their thinking into the next age paradigm. Yeshua spoke of power, authority, love, and oneness that we have yet to walk in. So if you're ready to deconstruct limiting beliefs in order to step into what Father is doing now, this course is for you. Sign up today at kingdomtalksmedia.com under the Courses tab. Now, back to the show.
All right, and we are back with Peta Conda from Australia and Berlin Newby from California. I can say that now. I'm not in California anymore.
I love it. Mountain country. Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, I absolutely love it here. Love it here in Colorado. So I had posed a question to you, and again, you don't have to share on it if you don't want to, but just what are your thoughts on the question I put out there just before we went to the break?
Just remind me.
Well, just whether you would want to share on the aspects of, you had gone into hiding, and then several months ago you came out of hiding, and I was just wondering what took you into the hiding and what brought you out. What were the things that the Father was showing you, teaching you? And the only reason I'm asking is just if there's anything in there that would help our listeners in their growth process.
Look, I think Gil and Berlin with that, I think I tried to go into hiding a bit, but didn't try to get there through different aspects. But I think one of the things that I remember saying to you last time, that my years often around certain mandates, if I use that word, or assignments for other people that don't understand the word mandate, seem to be a 5 to 7 year period. And have been very aware of that over the 35 years that I've been in ministry. Things would shift. And I'd come back and settled in Australia a couple of years ago. I had a hip replacement done as well, so that automatically just quietened what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But if I use the fire scenario as well here, that last year that I knew that I'd come to the completion of something that the Lord had set me to do, and that involved also going to and from the UK into Wales in particular, where I had the privilege of sharing into little groups in Ireland and Bath and Bristol and London, and and those people I'm still in relationship with. But I knew that there was a difference on that, and I knew in my heart I had come back into Australia, and part of that mandate was to encourage, stand alongside, teach into, disciple, mentor, whatever language you want to use, the hubs, the ecclesias that were arising in certain parts of Australia, not just me, some other people. And I knew by the end of last year that I had completed that. It didn't mean I wouldn't be in relationship with them, but there was something different coming for me. And I needed to sit with the Father and seek his heart on what that looked like, what it meant for me in traveling, what it meant for me in writing any material, my website, all the other things. So I was just looking to take that quiet time that we may have called a sabbatical before to say, okay, that feels like it's completed. Where am I traveling with you now? What is the next bit? And a lot of that is around the restoration of creation for me because of my love for nature. So that's dovetailing me. The fires are throwing me and leading me into that even more now. Yeah.
That's so good. We just finished the Restoration of All Things conference here, which
Yes.
that was a challenge in and of itself because we started on a Wednesday where they had dropped the numbers to 50. That was the highest we could have, and we had like 80. So we had divided them into two groups into another room, and then midnight on Wednesday, they came out with basically the governor said no more than 10 people. We're like, all right, Father, what are you doing?
Yes.
Anyway, it was just a chance to level up, and that was actually part of Adina and I's teaching during the Restoration of all things was, that every challenge is not necessarily the enemy, trying to drag you down, but it's an opportunity for us to level up. It's a challenge for us to level up. And so, obviously we were taking a dose of our own medicine in the sense of, Father, what are you doing? And how do we get to level up? And it was actually a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I would like it if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit on your concepts and ideas of the restoration of nature, because that's where you're connected, and would love to hear a little on that.
Yes. And again, I think the fires into that, they definitely all run in. And what I learned through that, and could I say even a deepening connection, I don't even know that. I've had an incredible love of nature, the animal world, and of course humanity as well. But I also understand deeply that land and creation, that we're all one, and humanity in itself will benefit and grow and look different as they understand their oneness with all of that. And I think one of the things, and I won't open up too much, I know time is a factor as well, that the governing around the fires had a lot, we did a lot and engaged a lot of the Indigenous, a certain group of us that had a deep, deep love of our First Nation people. And for yourselves, I know America, the USA would have also been faced with that over the years, your Native Americans. That has opened up over the last few years, that when I've been involved in nation prayer or governing the Indigenous, we have met Indigenous people in the spirit over the last couple of months in terms of and so that all dovetails into creation and land here in Australia, because their wisdom and their land management and their pain, one of the engagements that we had in the spirit around the fires was engaging some Indigenous elders in the spirit that often seem to turn up and identifying the pain that they were feeling as they saw the land burn, because they carry within them the understanding of the land here in our nation as your native people would do. And yes, we're starting to open up discussions around that. So that's the good thing that's flowing out of the fires. When will we deepen the relationship with our Indigenous here that know the crops that grow well here? They live for years and years and years. They farm. They weren't a tribal people roaming. All the people think of Australian Aboriginals as people that just picked up and roamed the land. No, they farm crops, the nature of the land. They have incredible wisdom for creation and what it can look like in nature here. It doesn't mean we go back totally to all their ways, but there's something in the combination of our First Nation people joining with people that now live here, including myself, to go forward that's going to bring beauty from the ashes in our land, as well as what we do in the spirit. And so I think for me, when we look at the four faces of God, and we as people landing the blueprints upon the earth, who are the people that are going to land the blueprints? You know, there's doing the spirit work, but then we need to land stuff and to
Yeah.
be engaged with people that are going to help land that with us.
So again, I'm not putting you on the spot. If you care to
No.
share, you can. If not, but for again those people, and I'm trying to backtrack a little bit because I know that I've just kind of jumped into things with people, and I can forget the audience and not realize that they may not understand some of the terms. But landing a scroll,
Exactly.
and some of the terms that you were using, if you could maybe explain that, the blueprint.
Yeah, I think if we go back to even the Our Father, what it is in heaven that we're landing. I mean, there is a blueprint. Architectures understand that. What does that look like? What is that building going to look like? Here's your blueprint. And so part of being an ecclesia, part of us seeing, hearing, feeling, understanding what we're seeing in the heavenly realms, what he's saying to us, showing us, what's coming into our senses, often is a blueprint of the heavenly realm that he wants that to be landed upon the earth. So
That's good.
architects call that a blueprint, but we might call that a design. We might call that something that heaven has stored up there in a dimension that it's now time that it takes a form upon the earth. Is that
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. And so sorry.
Go ahead, Berlin.
It's very important that we don't want to just go into the heavenlies and have a good time. We're there to administrate. We need to bring what we see down to the earth and see it manifested. So when we see that blueprint, we're to release that sound and that frequency and declaration so that it can look like something in the 3D world.
That's right. And then it may not be us that are the people that put that blueprint, but it will get picked up in the spirit. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the Christians, far from it.
Right.
And you see that through movies and different things. But all of a sudden, because I believe we're moving through into a period of great new innovations, cities looking differently, nations looking different because of what we're going through now. And so different things are going to get landed that is heaven's heart for the globe, and different people that are equipped, gifted, whatever you want to say, will land those things and put that in, because that will come into their spirit. We'll do this and we'll move that way.
And I love what you said, because God is not a respecter of persons, and that he will land it with whoever is capable or ready to receive it. It won't necessarily be Christians, but it will be God's work being done in the earth, whether it's a Christian or not. Yeah, I like that.
That's right. And for us as a body, because I see Christ in all of creation, in all men.
Right.
Some just don't know that.
Right. Yeah.
I walk very differently to what I did 30 years ago myself.
Same here.
And to love all of humanity, to love everyone. And I think one of the things that is happening now is, yes, people are having to go into isolation, but there's a call on the globe to work together. So something's going to come out. People are going to come out different. People are going to come out. There's a cry in creation for oneness. Now, there is a separation from that I think will push people to understand some of the things that are a lot more important in life, like relationships and oneness. Where is the divine in this? Where is God in this? Whatever their language is, that's going to see something very different start to land upon the earth. And this is where I love some of Chris Carter's teachings. I totally get what he's talking about. We have shifted into a whole different cosmic era,
yes,
as well as kingdom era.
Yes.
I mean, you can't sit under something different like that and not have something different starting to manifest upon the earth, in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love that. And the thing is too, that in this movement that we're in with I still refer to it, I think, as those who walk in the heavens, because there's a lot of different varieties, but that that as we do this, one of the most important things, and I've said this many times, is that we learn how to love ourselves well as the Father loves us. Because if we don't have that love for ourselves, then what tends to happen is we, out of insecurity, will draw lines, we'll make doctrines, we'll say, don't go listen to that teacher out of our insecurity, versus knowing that Father is loving every one of us, and that if I know that I'm loved, I don't have to feel like the whole world's got to follow me and not somebody else. But that if we move forward without loving ourselves, we will end up dividing things versus unifying things. And I think that's so important, that we learn how to love ourselves well, and that takes time spent with the Father.
It does take, and I mean, if we look back over the last 20 years, and I can see that the different things, and I think we talked about this last time, the return to our first love, understanding that God was releasing something very different through his body upon the earth. You can look at it, and then all of a sudden the Ekklesias, particularly here in Australia, is all I can speak for, totally activated into dealing and functioning because of the fire scenario. We're looking at a different group of people, different body of people administrating. But in all of that, because this is the cry of my heart, because this was my engagement as well on Iona with Columba, was to honour the whole of the body of Christ, and not to separate anything out on any doctrines.
Love
Whether
that.
I agree with you, Gil or Berlin, or not, they've got their journey. Some will stop on the journey, and Chris Blackerby talked about that. I love that. Chris and I are good friends. It's just, and to honor that, we cannot judge another person. It's their walk with Yahweh. And we have tried to fix people. I've done that as a pastor, as a counselor, fix people from the outside in, but it's the inside out. It's we can encourage people. And even this time of isolation, I go, this is really interesting. People cannot come together to get more information sometimes. To go away and just sit and be with the Father and have and feel his love and let him heal from the inside out, because then you walk differently to experience his love. There is so much that can be going on now because people can't get together.
I love that, and I love what you said about respecting the journey. Dean and I were just looking at just reviewing the three plumb lines that we felt Father gave us, and the second plumb line, love, honor, and respect. And it's one thing to listen to someone's story, and this is what I still tend to see, and I probably do it myself if I'm not careful, but that is, someone shares an experience or a journey, and it doesn't line up with my experience or journey. So, if I'm not careful, there's a tendency to turn around and want to share my experience or journey as if yours is incorrect. Let me tell you how it really is. But rather that I would be able to say, I love that. That is so good. I honor that journey. I honor that, just to make sure people understand that is their journey, and that's precious to them, between them and Father, and that we not turn around and try to impose our experience onto them. But at the same time, hopefully that you're in an environment where you both get to share and both be heard, but not be expected to come into alignment with the other one just because, one thinks they're right and the other is not. So
yeah, that's right. And I think for myself, one of the things that's helped me is always have a yes in your spirit rather than a no. So as soon as you speak, if I go, yes, okay, it's your journey rather than whoa, because as soon as you say no, all the barriers come up.
Yes. I love your heart. I love it. Love it.
Let's have a yes, and then we'll go, okay, let me think about that, because maybe it's me that needs to relook.
Exactly. Yeah.
And honor has to be active. It has to look like something. I mean, that word, we've all thrown that word around, but honor is always active. And for me to have a major encounter, and I'll never forget the date and the thing with Columba, and he had a love of creation as well, so it didn't surprise me that was who I engaged on Iona. but it was honor. And so I have outworked that, looked at that, what does that mean? And very much every part of the body, no matter what part of the journey, no matter what doctrine that believe, we need to honor. And I think one of the things that came through in one of the encounters with the eagles, that as I watched these massive eagles teaching their children, two little ones, this is one I haven't posted yet, it was a phenomenal, two big eagles with their two babies, when I'm kayaking out there on the lake, landed on the oyster beds, and they left them to feed. And I got within 25 meters of these two massive babies. And all these squawking other birds around, as they do when eagles come into the picture. And I watched and I said, Father, you're showing me something here. What is it? And he said, those eagles never retaliate, never react. They always just go higher. And I know that. And I went, there's a real lesson here for all of us. Even if people criticize us, call us a heretic or anything else, they don't react, they just go higher. And I thought,
So
wow.
good. That is really good.
That's a lesson on the journey, that we can walk alongside one another by just going higher, allow Yahweh to speak to our hearts, but not to react to circumstances. Anything else that's happening, any criticism, any dishonor towards us, but we will go higher.
And I love what you said, that honor is active, and that, you know, we have to, looking for the right word, but I want to say we have to press it out, you know, because otherwise it sits in us. And I think when it sits in us, it doesn't, you know, it's like anything else, it can stagnate and not go anywhere. But when we press it out and offer it out to others, I think it's a beautiful thing, just that we offer the honor that is in us out to others, and that we do it on a consistent basis. And also to ask the Father when someone does share something and it doesn't line up with your experience, you know, that we keep it to ourselves to process it with the Father and not say, well, you're wrong, but just to find out what Father thinks about it.
Yes, and we all do life through different filters, don't we? And the misunderstandings that can come that aren't even meant to be there.
Right.
In how we relate to someone, they're receiving it a certain way, aren't they? It may not be what we have put out. And so
exactly.
To sit with one another and clarify that, and be willing to say, wow, I didn't realize that may have hurt you. I'm sorry for that. And this is what all of that, this is how we honor one another, isn't it? As well, in everyday life.
That's good.
Because I'm not going to get it right. The journey of being in the fires for 3 months, and the government of it, my physical body reacting to it. Wow, it tired me. I was physically tired from that as well. And so I know even post the journey, just giving myself my own permission and space around people, just to come back and go, it's all right to recover. It's all right to physically recover too through a lot of this. As I look to be kind to myself so that I can be kind to others out there as well. The same as loving. Being kind. Kindness is such an important thing.
Love that.
So I don't know if we're answering your question or not, Gil. We're just talking.
Well, and I think
now, I couldn't have said a few months ago, fireside chat might have got
Well, I just love and honor you. I honor your heart. Go ahead, Berlin.
I would just like to, in a nutshell, because you're on the forefront and you're a forerunner, understanding what God is doing in this shift, in this next stage. In a nutshell, would you be able to sum up what governing from the heavens looked like? I don't know, like you said, 6 months ago when you were just coming out versus now, because you said that he's doing something really new and different.
For me personally, I think I personally don't do a lot of legislation in the courts. I do a lot from my oneness in Him.
That's good.
Okay. That's my journey, but that doesn't mean many others don't gather to do that, because it's all legal, for whatever better word. A couple of the administrations or governing, Let me just dovetail. Have we got time? I'll go back one sentence, which I think I mentioned last time.
Sure.
When I was driving through the mountains a few months ago prior to fires, the Lord had said to me, "Will you give up ministry and just follow me?" And I went, "Oh, well, I thought I had." Not, and ministry is not wrong, hear me right on that. But he was saying, "Will you just follow me?" And I went, "Yes." And then half an hour on this journey as I'm driving, he said, "Now I will show you more aspects of governing." And so he was asking me a question, was I willing to let go of something? So he would take me deeper into the things that he was wanting to show me. And I think that's been my journey. A lot of what we administrated during the fires, I had been involved in to a level before, but it's been expanded, it's been deepened. I've seen the outworking of it, and so it's been consolidation for myself. There's been an increase in authority in certain areas because of electing to go through the fire and stay here. I mean, I know Lindy Strong from, you had her with you.
Yes.
I met Lindy in Bath many years ago.
She's my partner on the cruise.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I had the privilege of meeting
she and
her.
I are, yeah, we have an event this weekend actually together, but continue.
No, I was just going to say one thing I know Lindy carries strongly, and it's been my heart, is that there are still different levels of authority, and there is a cost involved to operate in different levels, different dimensions.
Yeah.
And I think part of, for me, there was a cost in staying here. Like I said, there was an obedience, but I felt I moved through to a, believe it or not, a deeper place of rest, going through something like I've been through.
Yeah.
That confronted some of my own fears that I went away and dealt with Yahweh with. And I felt an enlarged authority in different elements of that, in the decrees when we were led to decree, but also in knowing what I was allowed and given permission to do around different forms of the administration, whether it was a decree out of heaven, whether it was being in Yahweh roaring at a fire, whether I was saying to the winds, we bless you, winds. There was always the loving of winds and the recognition of who nature is as the elements upon the earth. But when they were to come no further, then speaking to them, governing over certain aspects of the ocean. And we have significant weather drivers around this nation, the Indian Ocean, the Southern Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. There was a group that was very much dealing with the Indian Ocean. I was called to deal with some issues in the Pacific Ocean that the Irish people got in their spirit and joined with me, believe it or not.
Wow.
And the Southern Ocean. And so again, it was knowing where you were allowed to sit in authority and what you were allowed to do that has enlarged in me. But it's gone by putting my feet on the ground, for want of a better word, my feet in the heavenlies, and learning and going, did we get that right,
So good. Well, we only have a couple minutes left. Anything that you'd like to say before we finish up here?
No, I think for me too now, Gil, it's taking a lot of that. I did step immediately in, going out onto the land, back to the rest of creation. And I'm looking to do more of that. Once we move away from being isolation, I will go into the land and I will connect with people in the spirit to do things over the land. But there's different aspects of that I think we all need to be open to. I know that when I've walked onto the land already, there's times that I've just put my hand out towards a tree or a plant and have felt light coming forth from my being. There's times that I have felt just to dance on the land. There's times I've felt to speak to the trees. There's times I've sat in the spirit over the land. There are all forms of administration that he will show us as we listen to his heart and see what he's doing.
So good.
And I think that's for all of us to be saying, where is he teaching us now? What is he wanting us to show? It's not just the one way. It's multifaceted, just as Yahweh is himself. There is sounds to be released as I gather with those people that have been musicians and they pick up on the sounds, and I've got my own little song bowl that's coming to me, but they're speaking to the land, there's releasing the sounds, the frequencies, the roars, the decrees. They're all different aspects, and it's knowing the when and the hows as we listen and live in Papa's heart. And
Love
he lives
that.
in us.
So good. Well, Berlin, any final words before we head out?
Well, no, other than I just want to, invite everyone over to Spirit Centered Business on Wednesday nights.
So yeah, Wednesday nights at 5 o'clock Pacific time, right? Yeah, and just keep in mind that
Absolutely.
yeah, we're going to have several new shows coming on in the next few months. So just want to encourage everybody to go to kingdomtalksmedia.com. There is the Kingdom Talks community. We've actually got these easy buttons that help direct you to the areas that we feel are important that you would like to find. But KT Communities is a big one. It's growing, and as more and more people get on there, it's going to allow you to click on the Who's Near Me button and find out if there's anybody in your area that is walking in this stuff. So that's growing. People are getting connected. We love it. That's part of what we're about, is the community. So again, go to kingdomtalksmedia.com. Also, this all takes funds. So if you're willing to partner with us, we would certainly appreciate it. We need to hire some admin. We need to hire some tech people. We've said this many times. We're getting so much closer. We're so close. We just need a little bit more to get over the hump, and we'll be there. So anyway, we love you and appreciate each and every one of you. So until next time, we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for taking time out to listen to Kingdom Talks. You can find out more about Kingdom Talks Media and our mission to unite in faith and grow as mature sons at kingdomtalksmedia.com. Please continue to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, Fringe Radio Network, and many more places. Go to our website to find links to all of our media outlets, as well as fantastic online courses and conferences, including the life-changing interactive course, Ultimate Impact. And last but not least, we ask that you consider partnering with us to fulfill the mission to get these messages to the world. To become a partner, go to the Partnership tab on our website. Thank you, and until next time, live a blessed life and keep carrying us in your heart and sharing us wherever hearts are open.